on Ijaz Ahmed, Muslim apologist. Hope everybody's okay. This is Jason from Ghana. Ijaz Ahmed made a video on David Wood and saying that there's no textual variance in the Quran, that oral tradition, if you check it with oral tradition, the Quran has been preserved. If you go to a university, look at any of the main manuscripts, the Quran has been preserved. So any other Quran that might have any corrections, it's irrelevant to the argument. That's his basic argument. Then he finishes with quoting a scholar on P52 saying there's a textual variant in P52 and it shows that the New Testament has been corrupted. That was his argument. In refutation of Ijaz Ahmed, oral tradition is only as good as its foundation. When you look at the foundation and the early original sources in the hadiths, you can see that the hadiths contradict each other. One hadith says Abu Bakr was the first to codex the Quran. Another one says it's another person, Zayd. Then there are some that say there are verses missing, recitations and readings different. So the whole hadith sources are full of contradictions and in no way back up that there's been this strong oral tradition. So the oral tradition argument falls to the ground when you look at the early sources of Islam in the hadiths. They're contradictory and they give a different representation to what Ijaz and other Muslim apologists are saying. Secondly, even Ijaz would agree and has been on record as saying that there have been mistakes within copying of the Quran. Now, he wouldn't say they're textual variants, but he would say that there have been mistakes and then they've been corrected. But that shows you that there can be mistakes, and if there can be mistakes, then there's no reason to say that there weren't textual variant mistakes. If people are copying, they're going to make mistakes. Third argument is unless they're angels or some super beings that don't make mistakes, they're going to make mistakes in their copying. Third argument is if you do have manuscripts, they are relevant if they are different from other manuscripts. In honesty, you have to collect the all the manuscripts and examine them. And if you look at the top copy, the Sana manuscript, and many other manuscripts, the Birmingham manuscript, for example, not all the Quran is in one of these manuscripts. It's only part of the Quran. So just on that basis alone, you need to do textual criticism. Just to say that they're not relevant, that manuscripts are not relevant if they contradict the prevailing view of Islam today, is anti-intellectualism. And we have to do proper textual criticism. Um, and then fifthly, then the next issue is the best defense is a form of attack. So he just goes on the attack by quoting P52. P52 is a text that where Pilate is talking to the Lord, and I'm going to give you some information. He quotes a scholar and says that P52 is an example of the corruption of the New Testament. I'm going to read you some stats information. Name P52, content John 18:31 to 34, 37, 38, date 110 to 125. This is the earliest extant papyrus. Many scholars, Kenyon, H.I. Bell, Deisman, and W.H.P. Hatch, have confirmed this dating. Deisman was convinced that P52 was written at least during the reign of Adrian, 117 to 138, and perhaps even during the reign of Trajan, 98 to 117. Deisman wrote an article on this, which in 3rd of December 1935, which was translated in the British Weekly on the 12th of December 1935, page 219. In recent discussion about P52, scholars tend to date it closer to 100 than to 125. Place of discovery, Fayum or Ornicus, Egypt. It may have circulated in both areas according to Roberts. It was acquired in 1920 by Grenfell, but it remained unnoticed among hundreds of similar shreds of papyri until 1934. In that year, C.H. Roberts, fellow of St. John's College, while sorting out the unpublished papyri belonging to John Ryland's library at Manchester, recognized that this scrap preserves several sentences from John's Gospel, Metzer text 38. Roberts immediately published a booklet describing this papyrus and first listing in bibliography below. Date of publication 1935, housing location Manchester, England, John Rylands Library. Um, Bibliography C. H. Roberts, an unpublished fragment of the Fourth Gospel in the John Rylands Library, Manchester, 1935. This was republished with a few alterations of the Bulletin of John Rylands Library, 1936, 45 and 55, and then again in the Catalogue of the Greek and Latin Papyri in the John Rylands Library, Volume 3. Manchester, 1938, 1-3. The last publication contains critical notes and bibliography of scholarly reviews. Photos, there's a plate 19, Illustrated Bible Dictionary, Volume 2, 582. Inclusion in the Greek Nestle 17th edition, 1941. Textual character, though the amount of text in P52 is hardly enough to make a positive judgment about its textual character, the text seems to be Alexandrian, Metzer, or what Allen would call normal. Significance of the text and translation, since the text P52 is so small and does not contain any significant variants, it is not directly affecting modern translations of the New Testament. Its great value is its early date, for it testifies to the fact that the autograph of John's Gospel must have been written before the close of the 1st century. So this is the book that I read from, Phil Comfort, Dr. Phil Comfort. So what do we learn from that? Well, I've noted about 8 and 9 scholars there. Ijaz only mentioned 1. Second, the Ijaz mentioned this scholar, and this scholar makes massive assumptions about the so-called textual corruption of the text, when you've got scholars here that are saying the principal importance of this text is its date. The actual fragment is so small you can't make many deductions from it. So the other thing as well, which is extremely important, is because of the date, it puts that the New Testament was written in the 1st century. This smashed a lot of scholarship from F.C. Bauer from the early 19th century up to then, that said that the New Testament was later in the 2nd century. So it's a very important, significant bit of evidence to show you that the New Testament was written in the 1st century. So Ijaz just quoting a passage and then quoting P52 and then giving a scholar who makes massive assumptions is not enough when compared to what I've just done. I've given you about 8 scholars. I've given you the background to P52. I've given you all the scholarly information to P52. Rather than trying to score polemical points like he's done, I've given you first-class scholarship. Okay, God bless you. Hope you are okay. I'm going to make another video now and take care. Just one instance. We do need to do textual criticism of the Quran. If you notice, everything was documented here about P52. But even Ijaz's own sources, information that he's provided on his Facebook, on his website, even there in a book that he recommends, they acknowledge that a lot of the classification of these ancient Quranic manuscripts have not been done well. So we need to reclassify some of these manuscripts, and that means we're going to have to do textual criticism. And the thing is, with Ijaz and many Muslim apologists, they really don't want to do textual criticism. It's only recently come out with Shabi Ali, Dan Brubaker, and others, where Muslim scholars are beginning to acknowledge there are textual variants, and where scholars are beginning to show there are textual variants within the Quran. And so Muslims are running from this, they're hiding from this, they're trying to, Ijaz, I think it's Muhammad Hijab has censored his own channel. He interviewed a scholar. The scholar told him that the Quran has not been perfectly preserved, that there are issues there. So Muhammad Hijab has edited the video and taken the 20-odd minutes of what that scholar has said out. And now the Muslim apologists are trying to cover their tracks, trying to hide the situation. So I hope this has been helpful to you. and there's a 2 hour video, nearly a 2 hour video on the compilation of the Quran, looking at Islamic sources on my Facebook. All right. So God bless you. Love to everybody. Ijaz Ahmed came on my show yesterday. He was listening to what I had to say, but he didn't refute anything I had to say. This is what they are, the Muslim apologists. They're not honest. They're involved in taqiyya, lying to you, and they won't debate people like David Wood or Hatun, and they won't debate me. I'm not in their league. I'm not saying I'm in their league, but they won't debate me because I'll bring uh, the best scholarship that I can. So please, Muslims, think hard about it. You need Jesus. You need the Lord. You need to trust in Jesus. God bless you and take care.